I'm Kiki, and I'm a storyteller. Everyone has a story, and I'm here to listen. This is What It's Like to Be Here. As long as I've known Leticia, she's been a hustling real estate broker, selling my friends their first homes. Over the years, I've come to know her as someone making a name for herself and who is invested in her community. An expert in her field, go-getter, and mom, this lovely woman has been a supporter of mine in the past, and I'm so happy to have her here today. Welcome, Leticia Andrade.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So we were talking about your travels down to the south side.
Yes.
Where do you live now?
Oh my God. So I'm now in the Northwest side. So I'm by Belmont and Narragansett. So that's still considered the Dunning area. Mm-hmm. But I know this area very well. I was not raised, but I was kind of more Little Village.
Okay.
But I did go to Curie High School.
Oh,
so
I did not know that.
I'm an alma mater, Curie Condors. So so that is Archer and Pulaski. That was back when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, this neighborhood hasn't changed. It's still the cute little, ranch homes and things like that in this neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of got to see this area when I was like 16, 17.
One of the questions that I ask everybody is, how old are you?
Oh, yes. So people don't think, because they think, I'm sisters with my daughters and all of that. But I was a young mom. I'm 47 years old right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we met when 11 years ago. I was trying to backtrack. So we met about 11 years ago. Mm-hmm. And obviously I was 37, mm-hmm. 36, 37. I think that's when we met. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm 47 years old, girl. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I always say, the 40s are the new 20s,
I mean, they are.
Yeah,
they are.
I
feel great.
Yeah, me too. So I'm 47 years old.
What is it like to be here as Leticia Andrade right now?
Wow. Full circle. I'm going through a lot of transitions still in my life. I think, yes, there's been a lot of growth, a lot of development, but at the same time, I feel like I'm also kind of starting a new chapter. Why? Because my second daughter just graduated college. So she just graduated from Indiana University.
That's wild to
Isn't that
me.
crazy?
Like, they were so young.
I
They
know.
were little when I first met them.
I think you met them at 16 and 12.
Yeah. And they're still young girls,
Yes.
still just developing, exploring the world,
Yeah.
and the potential. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I remember, I think I brought up a picture of us when we were, I think, at one of your art festivals. Mm-hmm. And then I think before that, we probably went to a Miracle Center play or something like that, right? And you guys were doing a whole collective there.
Right.
But I would always try to expose them to culture, expose them to art, expose them, because I'm an art girl. I was raised in theater from grammar school. When I went to Gary, people would laugh at me, but I was Snow White in the Seven Dwarfs for the school play. And that's actually my first exposure to theater and arts and things like that.
Oh, cool.
So I'm very grateful for Gary's school, because I keep on thinking of that if I would have never gone to Gary, I probably wouldn't have been exposed to theater and arts and things like that. And that was the first time that I took a leap of faith and I did the student council. And I remember the teacher that helped me write my speech for the student council secretary or whatever. And if I would have stayed at Plamondon, I'm not saying that it wouldn't have been a great experience, but I feel blessed that I was able to transition into a bigger school and be exposed to more things.
Yeah, for sure. And so what are you doing now? How are you transitioning? What's that next step for you?
So right now, I think it's just a little bit, I'm trying to be a little bit more selfish. Mm-hmm. Why? I've been raising my girls. Right now, my daughter's 28 and my youngest daughter is 22.
Wow.
I've never had an opportunity to do me, if that makes sense. I've always, making sure that they're taken care of, that they're okay. And I can proudly say I'm the mother of two college graduates, and I want my daughters to be successful in anything that they decide to do, right? I could push my agenda on anybody, right? That's all, but if they have something that they're passionate about.
Oh, for sure.
I want to make sure that they have the support that possibly,
feed the flame.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's different, right? Because my mom's generation is different. My mom didn't grow up the way that I did, right? And then I can, kind of talk about my high school experience. My mom was working.
Yeah.
She was not there.
Right.
And so I try to give my daughters the opposite. I was there. I did go to the field trips. I did go, yeah. You know, and
Same
that's
thing, same.
Yeah.
Because my mom was always working. I was like, Mom, you know, it would be very rare that she would go on a field trip with me or take the time off, you know? And I was like, I used to go to basketball games and get carpooled around. Like, they were my friends and they were their parents, and we all depended on each other because that was the generation.
Oh my gosh. And I'm a strong believer in that.
Yeah.
As a single mom, I do believe it takes a whole village
For
to
sure.
raise a child. Especially me, I did count on other parents, and I would make sure that I got to know their families. I would make sure that I got to know all of my daughter's friends and their parents, not just their friends and their parents, because and then if I had to call them for whatever reason, or I would, barter. I'd be like, hey, can you pick up? And then I will drop off, or blah, blah, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And they would help me.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm like, I was so blessed with all of that. And this is another reason, right? Kind of going back to our culture. My daughters went to Catholic school. I never had that. I went to public school, and I'm still an advocate of public, CPS and everything else. But I tried because I felt that it was a different upbringing when you're in Catholic school. I wanted my daughters to be as young and to preserve their youth as long as possible and not have them grow up too quickly. And my daughter could barter with me and say, oh, Mom, X, Y, and Z, maybe they don't agree. But I tried my very best to make sure that they didn't have to grow up as quickly. You want them to be able to talk to you, and you want to be able to protect them. I think that's the most important thing that you want. And then I had girls, and I'm like, who's going to protect my girls if I don't?
Right.
Me and my brother were 7 years apart, and I have a lot of, kind of similarities. My daughters are 6 years apart. So I kind of understand it was me and my brother, but them being sisters, they say sisters are even more closer.
Yeah.
But me and my brother were really close. And my brother passed away in 2020. So we were raised together. We didn't have the same father. My brother was born in Puerto Rico, and then he came here to Chicago when he was 8 months old.
Okay.
So he has a different experience, but I can tell you that my brother was gay. And I believe that you're born that way. I don't believe that you all automatically...
It's not a choice.
I agree. Yeah. I felt that like when I'm growing up with my brother, that he was like that. That's what I knew.
Right.
That was my brother.
Right.
That was not, he's gay. Does that make sense? Now it's more forgiving. Now it's more accepted.
Right.
But back then, girl, it was not. It was like something like that was covered. My brother came out to my mom at the age of 16, 17 when he was in high school. He went to Kelly, guys.
Yeah.
He went to Kelly, and that was horrible for him.
Yeah.
I can say that he had the most horrible high school experience and a lot of bullying, a lot of things that would not be tolerated now, that is more exposed, is more like talked about.
Yeah.
Back then, nobody cared if you were being bullied.
Right.
In school.
I know. No.
Yeah.
Nobody
it was
did at all.
crazy. Yeah. No, nobody cared. So my brother didn't graduate from Kelly. He went to an alternative high school, Latino youth. I don't know if it's still around, but I would have to Google that to see if it is. He graduated. We celebrated his graduation and things like that. To this day, girl, I don't know if he actually graduated, but he graduated. But yeah. So
Yeah.
I was his like real life Barbie, because he loved, like, when the movie Barbie came out, my brother already had passed, and I was like, man, if my brother were alive, he would have been like loving this movie and everything else.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because he would dress me up, girl. He was a makeup artist. He was a fashion designer.
Yeah.
He would like make me up head to toe, and
Oh my
I
God,
loved
that's
it.
great.
Because I'm in theater, girl. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, brother, dress me up, do whatever you want. And I have a lot of pictures, a lot of memories of like things that he dressed me up in because he wanted to. Halloween was a big thing in our household.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I loved it.
Thinking about that too. So growing up with your brother, growing up with your dad, with your girls, being a young mom, how does that impact now? Like, how does that impact your life now? Because I know you give back and you do a lot of community service. So how does that tie into your life and kind of giving back now?
Yeah, in so many ways. So like I mentioned, my dad was an alcoholic. He went into he never wanted to move in with me. So even when I was, after I had my first daughter, Eliza, I asked him to move in with me because he was kind of like, my mom already had left him. And it was like, but it was many years that they lived together. And this is where in relationship idea, I didn't want to live like my mom and dad, because at one point growing up, I saw that they were just roommates. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I saw that and I'm like, man, when I get in a relationship, I don't want that. I want to be in a loving relationship. I want to have a family. I want it to be different than what I was raised with. Not to say my mom did an amazing job. My mom worked her butt off. She did the best that she could from what she knew. And this is where now as a mom, I realize that.
Yeah.
But back then, probably when I was 12, 13, I didn't know any better. Right. But then becoming a mom and becoming a young mom, actually my stepdad, he was upset at me when I got pregnant because I was in college and I got pregnant, and it was me being careless. Right.
Yeah.
But didn't talk to me until after my daughter was born, FYI, so while I was pregnant and everything, he was upset, all of that good stuff. He was like true Latino man, all of that. Right. And so, I accepted it and whatever, and all of that happened. But why does that tie into what I'm doing now? I can relate to my dad could have been homeless. I really see my dad in some of these men that are alcoholics or that are abusive, either with alcohol or drugs. And my dad never got into drugs, but I've seen it all around me. I've seen, even in our culture, unfortunately, you see it all around you. And I feel that the little contribution that I can make to the homeless community right here in Chicago, because I've been on mission trips. I went to 2 mission trips to Peru.
Okay.
So that experience was amazing. And that's why I wanted to make sure that I gave back right here in my own city. Because if I can go out to a different country, and I went to Peru, right, and give in that way. And I went with my church. So we were, preaching the word of God, and we were just doing a lot of things so that we can bring other people closer to God. And what I can say about that is that I just don't want someone, maybe back then I was only 12 years old, to maybe experience that. Or these homeless people that are living on the streets is by choice. And a lot of them have a lot of mental health issues. A lot of them, it just is a small reminder that could have been my dad. And even though he was not blood, he was still my dad. And that's all I knew. You know what I mean? So tying that back into my homeless outreach and my homeless ministry is that I'm able to connect with those men and women out on the streets. And it's by choice, guys. A lot of people are saying, well, you're contributing to their homelessness and all that. And it's like, it's not that. Is that they're choosing to live in a tent instead of going to a shelter because there's rules in a shelter. And guess what? They don't want to follow rules.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the problem. This is why we have a homeless community in Chicago. And then now, even more than ever, our migrants came here and they were promised all these things. And we were not able to comply with all of these things that were promised by the government or whomever, right? And they were being bussed into Chicago by busloads and then said, here's a little voucher, here's this, here's that. And guess what? They ended up on the streets. I've met families on the streets. And why does that resonate with me? Because guess what? I could have been one paycheck away from myself being homeless with my daughters. And this is why I felt like, wow, if me being a single mom was just for me to help other single moms or whatever it is. And I was lucky enough that I didn't end up on the streets. And I have been humbled where I've had to accept groceries from family members or friends and things like that when I really needed it. And it's like, thank you, God, for being an ultimate provider. And I'm a strong believer, because I feel like if you don't have faith, in anything that you do, and this is the thing, looking back, I had faith without knowing that I had faith. And then later on, when my daughter was doing her first communion and things like that, because they started going to Catholic school, is when I'm like, all right, I have faith, but it was different. Because being raised Catholic is very different than being in like a Christian church that I'm in now. I'm in a non-denominational Christian church.
Okay.
So it was very different growing up Catholic. But I did believe in tradition. I did want that base. I wanted that good foundation for my daughters, because and then later, then they can choose what they want.
Let's get into your real estate background. So I had no idea that you were a broker for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I read your bio, it's stated somewhere that you were 23 when you first bought your first house.
Yep.
And that kind of like piqued your interest. So what real quick, what were you doing before then that made you get into real estate?
So it was kind of a fluke. So when I got pregnant, I didn't want to start working at a retail office or a store or whatnot. And so I started working as a temp in a Fortune 500 company. So as a temp, I got placed at State Farm Insurance. And guess what I was, girl? I was a switchboard operator. And that job does no longer exist, right? So I was young. I was like 20, right, or whatever. And I went into that, and then they hired me. So I stayed as a switchboard operator, and then, got under, the manager, and they liked me, and I'm like working hard. And it was by Midway Airport, girl.
Okay.
I worked at a claim service assistant. I got promoted from a switchboard operator to a claim service assistant. So I worked in the office where the claims adjusters would evaluate your car when you got in an accident.
Okay. Fun.
So that's what over here by Midway Airport. And so that was my first real job. And I was like, okay. So then from that job, they recruited me to be a loan processor because I was doing a good job. So basically, I was the secretary of a claims adjuster.
Okay.
So the people for the auto accidents, I was the secretary of the person that helped the person that was in the accident.
Okay.
So as a secretary, somebody were like, oh yeah, you know how to be organized. You know how to do this. Hey, I'm going to recruit you to be a loan processor. And so basically a loan processor is the person that helps the loan officer get the paperwork together, and the loan officer that is going to help you buy your home. So then I'm the person that if you came into the office, I would collect all your documents. I'd make copies. I'll prepare everything for the loan officer so that you're able to buy your home with all the paperwork, and I would do the paperwork for you.
Okay.
So that's what I did. So that's when I got introduced to real estate.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, so number one, leap of faith from claim service assistant, and I thought I was making money, girl. And then back then I was like $23,000 a year, and I was like, oh my god, because I'm still young, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never made this money before. I'm like, oh my god. So that was another leap of faith that I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna try it. They said I'd be good at this. I have to try it, right? And so they were like, yeah, you can make this much money. So I went from like $23,000 to making $28,000 a year, and I was like, oh my god, I'm making money, And this is back in the day, so you're just like, okay, I'm, in my 20s, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So then when I became a loan processor, I worked for like a small little brokerage, and then the manager that I had there, she went to work for a bigger company. So back then, if anybody's listening and they know what I'm talking about, I started working for Countrywide Home Loans. Okay. And that was because of the manager. It's like all who you know, right? The networking, right? So she became a manager there and then brought me over as a loan processor. Okay. So I was working still under her, but it's at a bigger company. Right. So now I have more potential to make more money. So now I went from 23 to 28. Now I started making like $32,000 a year. So I'm like, yes, okay, great. And so then I'm like, all right, what can I do? And so I'm still young. And this is why I bought my first property at the age of 23. Okay. So I was like, man, if people can do this, I can do this too. And if I'm going to make this much money, I know I can buy a house. So my dream, my mom rented all of our lives. Right. When we were in Little Village, I can probably count how many apartments within my 5th grade all the way to 8th grade, how many apartments we were in. And we were probably in a different apartment every year. Oh, jeez. It was crazy, girl. And I hated it because I'm like, okay, now, girl, I begged my mom in 8th grade not to switch me. I begged to stay at Gary School because they were going to change me to another school that was closer to the new apartment that we had in 8th grade. Okay. And I was dreading. I said, I do not want to switch schools. Not again. In 8th grade. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. The graduation year, right? So I walked, guys, a mile or more from Costner all the way to Ridgeway, because it was kind of like on 31st Street. So I walked from Costner and 28th. And I remember my address because that's a whole full circle of this address. Yeah. 2825 South Costner. That's where I used to live. Okay. I used to walk from 2825 South Costner all the way to Gary School, which is on 31st and Ridgeway. And so however many miles, a mile and a half or whatever that was, in rain, cold, everything that you can think of. Because I wanted to stay at Gary School so I can graduate with my friends. Right. And so that was like a little bit traumatic, so that I said my dream would be to
And
buy.
it was only 1.5 miles.
Oh.
It wasn't the 10 miles that people talk about.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But like when you're young, you're like,
It's a lot.
Yeah. And you're
Yeah.
like sweating in the summer and you're like, in rain and everything. And you got to wake up early because you got to get to
Right.
school on time.
Right.
Right. So I experienced all of that. So long story short, I felt it in my heart that I was like, okay, if I'm I'm being put in the position of helping others get a loan to buy a house, then my dream was to buy my mom a house. We didn't quite buy a house. I bought a condo. But because that's the only thing we could afford on the north side of Chicago.
Yeah.
And the reason why we went north was because the job as a loan processor was north. So that's why I moved north. It's not because I wanted to or whatever. It just kind of naturally happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Well, back in the day.
Yeah.
Right.
It kind of naturally happened because of the job opportunity.
Right. Right.
And so since I had my daughter young, I moved this way. And then I wanted to find a daycare that was close enough from work. So then I put my daughter in St. Alphonsus, which was literally a block away from where I was working, because I was working literally on Ashland in Wellington. There's a little Wellington mall right there. And so that's where the Countrywide Home Loans was at, their office.
Okay.
So then I put my daughter like a block and a half away. I think that's what I've been learning, is that I do need to grow from whatever that trauma is. And when I say trauma, me and my daughters did therapy for 3 years while my youngest was in high school. So my youngest went to Whitney Young High School. She went through some things, and I said, all right, let's do family therapy. And we did family therapy with me and my 2 daughters for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it, and I'm so grateful for it. But guess what, guys? We're still growing from those times. And then you don't think that everything that you do as a mother really affects your kids, and obviously they do. My daughter, my 28-year-old can tell you, you know what, daughter, I'm sorry. And I can honestly say that from the bottom of my heart. Like, I did have you young, and it's not your fault.
Right.
And that was my choice. And I don't regret it, but I do apologize for whatever trauma that I put you through, because it has affected her now as an adult. And it's a different generation. So me telling them, suck it up, let's go. No, seriously, it affects them, right?
Right.
But I came from a different generation where I'm like,
You had
I
no
was
choice.
always on a go.
Right. It was always a sense of urgency for some reason.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I was reading something where it was like, why, as the oldest, right? And that's another thing too, as the oldest Latina daughter, right? There's this sense of urgency, or like you get irritated easily because when you were a kid, you only had one chance to get it right.
Right.
So you're learning as quickly as possible how to do the things the right way, so you don't get yelled at, so you don't stop whatever train is moving, and you always have an andale, go, go, go. And you're like, what? Why am I rushing? What's going on? And now I notice that with my daughter, right? Like, why am I putting all this pressure on her? There would be an explanation, you know? And I think that's the one thing that we didn't get. We were all trying to figure out, like, why are they doing this to us? But
we're not bad kids.
Right? They just didn't know how to explain, why they were telling us to do those things or telling us not to do those things,
Yeah.
And it is a different time, different generation completely.
Oh, for sure.
How did real estate become your thing? And talk to me about how you've grown in the industry.
Man, so it's been, I got my license in 2005.
Okay.
So that's when I was a loan processor. So I was exploring, everybody's like, you should become a loan officer. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to work with numbers. I don't want to do all that. Everything that the loan officer was doing, I was not interested.
Okay.
But I had to deal with the real estate brokers, and I had to deal with the attorneys, and I had to deal with everybody involved in the transaction. So then when I saw everybody's role, I was like, I want to become a real estate broker.
Okay.
So becoming a real estate broker, you don't need to have a college degree. You just got to go to school to get your license. And that's exactly what I did. So in 2005, while I was a loan processor, I got my licensing, which is very different. Now you need like 75 hours of school time. Back then it was only 45 hours of classroom time. And I'm a classroom learner. I don't like we didn't have internet like we do now, where you can do your classes online. I went physically to a school and sat there with the teacher and did all of that, which for me is better learning.
Yeah.
Like I like learning in front of a teacher.
Yeah.
And then telling me, like, oh, this is what you need to know for the test. That's all I want to know. Just help me pass the test and I'm good, right? So that's kind of I just decided, I was like, all right, well, if I can do this loan processing stuff and I like this role, I'd rather go and show houses instead of being behind the desk. You know, I thought that was more interesting.
Yeah.
So in 2005, I just said, all right, or yeah, '05, I said, yeah, let's try it.
Okay.
And I did look up to another mom at my daughter's school. She, big hustler. They're still around. I'm trying to think of her name. Latina también, immigrant.
Okay.
Another woman entrepreneur that I looked up to. And I said, man, if she can do it and she's an immigrant and I'm born and raised here in Chicago, then why can't I?
Right. Yeah.
So she actually just told me where to go and kind of mentored me a little bit in the beginning. And I actually hung my license with her first. And yeah, I think looking at that and seeing her do it as well, I was just like, I can do this too. And
That's
I just
cool.
got the confidence. Yeah. So it's like, it's real when people say, yeah, mentorship is important.
And I was going to ask you, did you feel like right off the bat that was a sense of mentorship? Did you have to ask her to be your mentor, or was that a natural kind of
a little bit of both.
development? Okay.
Because her daughter and my daughter, so I can say, and I'll just say this little snippet of my girls going to school. So they went to Catholic school. So her daughter and my daughter were in the same class together.
Okay.
Okay. And I think she'll know who I'm talking about once they hear this. But do you remember when Mean Girls came out with Lindsay Lohan? So Lindsay Lohan in our house was very popular. So Lindsay, I was a fan too.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
liked all her movies and everything. But I banned Mean Girls. Because my daughter and her daughter will get together with another girl from school and be Mean Girls.
Oh no!
And I'm talking about like kindergarten, okay? So I became friends with the mom.
Yeah.
Her name is Ana. And I want to say it's Ana Tapia. So
Okay.
she still has, I think her sister still does real estate. And I think since then, she's moved to Florida.
Okay.
So she's not really around, but I love her daughters. Her daughters went to school with my daughter and all of that good stuff. So, and then her daughter and my oldest are the same age.
Okay.
So
Okay.
she could have been my daughter too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So mentorship was not as popular back then, but she was open to it. Does that make sense? She was
Yeah.
not closed off to saying, hey, this is what you need to do. Now it's my job to go and do it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what happened. So then she was interested. So my father, my Mexican side father, he had properties. So
Okay.
wherever he learned it from, I kind of got that from him. And so he owned properties and I was like super intrigued. And then I remember he needed to like do some kind of transaction. And I introduced him to Ana.
Okay.
And he ended up doing something with her on one of his buildings. And long story short, that was kind of like a little mentorship opportunity that I took on my own. And I just kind of used that. And I was just like, all right, let me ask the questions that I need to ask to see how I can get to like even be introduced to that real estate world and see like the little questions that I had. It was not like formal internship, but it was like she was just open to answering my questions.
Right. Right. So she wasn't like a gatekeeping. Right.
I love that. I love that. She was not a gatekeeper. And, but she was also busy, right? She was also busy running her businesses. And I think she was doing more than just real estate at the time. And then she has her girls that she was raising. She had 3 girls.
Holy
raising
moly.
on her own, right? And then the youngest was my daughter's age.
Yeah.
And so I looked up to that. When you're an immigrant, guys, you guys dream big. You know what I mean? She dreamt big and she's getting there slowly. And I just admired that. And I was like, why not? That's something that I admire. And like you said, she was not a gatekeeper. And she told me what to do and I did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I said, I think the transition there was like, all right. And that's when I decided to buy my first property. So I was in transition of getting my real estate license. And I bought my first property at the age of 23. And that number is like my favorite number. So I always resonate to 23, to be honest. And my daughter, my oldest, bought at the age of 23 as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know, numbers. I don't know.
Michael Jordan? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm a six peak. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we grew up in that, right, when Jordan was super popular.
Right.
And so, 23 has always been my favorite number.
Uh-huh.
And, so that's kind of like where it derived from. And it's that go-getter mentality of, guess what? I don't want to be stuck in working for someone else or working at a store, or like, how can I advance? How can I make life better for my daughters?
Mm-hmm.
How can I make life better for myself?
Mm-hmm.
And also getting my family, my mom, out of the renter mentality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was a stigma that I wanted to get out of. And I actually, even to this day, I kind of planted that seed back then
Mm-hmm.
for my mom, because I didn't want her to be a renter. My dad passed away in 2011.
Okay.
And I just wanted my mom to have something for herself.
Yeah.
And I think that was my goal, is to give her something, because she worked so hard in giving us the life that we needed,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's all she knew, because
Yeah.
she migrated here from Puerto Rico when my brother was 8 months old.
Okay.
And so she did her best.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted to give her my best. And I learned from the other people around me. And I just wanted to be that go-getter to say, all right, I'm going to change my family's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that I was a mom, and then I became a single mom,
Mm-hmm.
I said, I want my daughter to have the best and the most. My daughter's now being 28, learning about life,
Mm-hmm.
and now 22. It's like, guys, my whole life I did everything for you. And this is where that transition goes in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now is my opportunity to do things for me
Right.
that I've never had the opportunity to do.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I'm trying to say I'm not going to help you guys.
Right.
Never. I'm always, when you're a mother, you're always a mother for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Just like my mom. My brother died in 2020. My mom just posted a picture of my brother, like, just recently, right? Because she's going to miss her son for the rest of her life.
Of course, yeah.
And that's my brother, and I miss him every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So until my daughters are mothers of their own, and God only knows when that time is going to come, and I pray that it's not anytime soon, are they going to understand the sacrifices that I've made?
And I think too, just as you get older, as we age, I don't even think you need to be a mom to truly understand it. Yes. But to just understand the concept of like evolving into adulthood, right? And
yes.
adulting while having children, you're like, I got to figure myself out. At the same time, I'm trying to keep this little thing alive, and
that's why we
help
needed
them.
therapy.
Right. And that's why you need therapy, because it's like, oh my, all of a sudden you understand. And I think moms in general just need therapy, because it's like, you don't know what you're doing. It could be intuition, but there's so much that tells us to go against our intuition as we grow up that we don't know how to lean into it anymore, you know? And so having all of this, dealing with it, and then realizing, wow, my parents were going through this at the same time, and it was a different time period.
And a culture shock, because now they're in Chicago. They're not in Puerto Rico. They're not in Mexico, because now, like I said, when we first started talking, there's two sides to every story.
Right.
My father has his Mexican upbringing, that he tells me he's from the rancho, and that él nada más tenía two rocks to play with, and he never had toys and this and that. It's like, okay, now I could understand. And even my stepdad, you know, being from Puerto Rico as well, when he started telling me his story, I'm like, wow, now I understand why you drink and why you smoke, you know?
Because then you had to come here and raise kids and try and figure it out with not knowing the language, not knowing anybody, and then being treated horribly.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, right?
Yep.
Like, I mean, it's wild to think that we came from those situations, and now we're in a different, right? Like this ever evolving life of ours.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a problem.
Oh
There's
my
always
gosh.
going to be something to solve, right? But I feel like we're just more prepared as time goes on.
Yes.
You know, so your children, your daughters are going to be more prepared. You know, they're already set up for success.
Well,
right?
that's what I'm hoping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you never know. And this is where, you know, we can go into a whole different realm of things. But what I do want to shout out and have this opportunity right now to say that I'm very proud of my mom and my father.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mom is now a homeowner in Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
She lives in Juana Diaz next to Ponce. And then my real father, I think, instilled a lot of the home ownership and that, like, value of being a homeowner, because he, as an immigrant and Mexican descent, not knowing, and mind you, he did not go to school. He doesn't know how to read and write very well.
Oh, wow.
But guess what? He came here, he became a citizen, and he bought property. For being an immigrant, like,
I know,
I'm proud of him.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I am so proud of him, because I'm like, that's even nowadays, the next generation or whatever, like even my sisters, because I have younger sisters, and that's on my Mexican side, right?
Yeah.
He had 2 daughters and a son with his current wife, right? And that's on the Mexican side, and she's Mexican as well. And they all got their papers, they all got all of that, right? And so I'm proud that he actually went out of the comfort zone and became a homeowner a long time ago. This is when I was younger. Like I obviously didn't know all of this that I know now.
Right.
But I'm proud that I can say that he is a homeowner. And I'm saying, like, I think him and his wife owns probably more properties than he does.
Oh my God.
And he owns property in Mexico.
Wow.
I'm proud of that, because I'm like, you know what? You go, boy, because you're like, other people are over here complaining about things either in Mexico or in Chicago or whatever. And my father owns property. So I don't know if my sisters understand that, but that's a big deal. And then even for their mom owning property here, when I say here in Chicago, it doesn't matter. Carpentersville, Chicago, whatever, they own property.
Yeah.
And I know that owning that property is setting up my sisters for success. And I'm trying to set up my daughters for success and for a legacy. Because obviously that transitions into when they decide to have kids.
Right.
If they decide to have kids.
Yeah.
So long story short, those little seed planting are so important.
Right.
Because it is going to set up our younger generation to be, I don't want to say entrepreneurs, but just,
more stable.
Yeah.
Just like stability. Right.
Well, that's the thing. But you're showing them that generational wealth that they're going to be able to pass on. So my mom, this is so funny that we're talking about this. So my mom started sending me urns that she likes, because she's like preparing for like her death, and she's telling me already like how she wants to like, that I'm gonna like cremate her and then put her in this. She's sending, I have pictures, girl, that she's sending me, and there was like this white urn with like like angel wings and all this, and this is like just recent, like literally the other day. And I showed my daughter, and she's like, "Oh, that's weird." I was like, "Well, maybe that's not so weird, because that's what my mom wants." And
at least you won't be guessing.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
Exactly. And I was like, maybe I'll just buy it for her. It was like $160 urn. I don't know. And so, long story short, it's like, it's funny but not funny. But what my mom was telling me was that she doesn't want to leave me the burden that we had to go through when my brother passed, because my brother was unexpected.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm grateful, like you said. We don't have to guess. I'm going to know what she wants. And guess what? I'm the only one, because it was only me and my brother.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be up to me.
Right.
And if something were to happen to me, guess what? It's going to go on to my oldest daughter. And guess what? If everything's written out, then she doesn't have to worry about it.
Right.
And so that's what I'm talking about, the legacy, because when my mom dies, her property is going to go to me.
Right.
When I die, all those properties are going to go to my daughters.
Right. Yeah,
You know what
exactly.
I mean? So that's where that generational wealth, that legacy that we're creating and building. And this is what talking about giving back to the community. I do financial literacy for teens and kids and adults.
Oh, that's great.
So that's something that is also a passion of mine, because guess what? Us Latinos are not being educated.
Nope.
And CPS, as much as we love it, guess what? That's not a curriculum for our kids. And the reason why I feel that financial literacy for our teens is important, because guess what happens during the transition from high school to college? That's when they get them. I got my first credit card when I went to college.
Yeah, of course, because you're on your own. You're 18. You're signing on the dotted line, and you got free money.
Yeah.
At least that's what it sounds like, right?
That's what they say, right? Oh, yeah. But that pizza that you got on that credit card earning interest, guess what? That is not a good thing to teach our youth, because guess what? That's how they get into debt. And that's not going to help them when they're trying to buy a house.
That $10 pizza actually is going to cost you $20 in the long run, you know?
So those are the small little things. And I just recently did a class, financial literacy class for teens and adults at the Chicago Public Library. It's called Washington Library, right here on the South Side.
Yeah.
So like 79th and I forgot the other street, but like 79th Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they asked me to come over and they were like, oh, well, how much do you charge? I'm like, nothing. This is me giving back to the community.
That's
like,
awesome.
I want to just go, and we had like a whole hour session.
Yeah.
And I was able to talk to a good handful of teens that were just graduating.
Mm-hmm.
That, guess what? This is going to be so life-changing for them to hear it from someone like me that grew up in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling them, hey, I grew up here just like you, and these are the do's and don'ts of how to handle your money.
Right. Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So when people come to you and say like, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, and I mean, obviously you've instilled this in your daughters and you're trying to plant the seed in your mom, how do you talk to your clients about home ownership? And I guess I almost feel like you're like a cheerleader, right? In a way.
Yes. So I give the example, and I know my daughter might roll her eyes, but my daughter is the perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I tell everybody my daughter's story, because I want them to know that it's from here. It's from my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to give you the advice that I would give my mother and that I gave my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter purchased at the age of 23 because she came to me and telling me, hey, Mom, I want to go rent.
Mm.
I was like, you ain't coming, and I'm a real estate broker, and you ain't going to come and tell me that you're going to rent, pay somebody else's mortgage,
right,
when I'm trying to help other people buy houses. Okay? So I bought at 23.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my I bought 2 condos at the age of 23 in the same building. This is unheard of, but this is back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to buy. I lost one in foreclosure, and then the other one I sold in short sale when short sales were not popular.
Mm.
So I have a lot of experience on that. So anytime I meet with someone,
Mm-hmm.
I give them relatable stories, because a lot of people relate with stories. Exactly what we're doing right now.
Yep.
We're storytelling, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're learning about me. You're learning about my dad, why I was raised this way, why I feel so passionate about the homeless,
Mm-hmm.
why I feel so passionate about making sure my mom's a homeowner, so passionate about making sure my daughter's a homeowner. And I'm working on my youngest right now, because I said, as soon as you get a job or you have an offer letter, I want you to buy a 2-unit. I want you to buy something, a condo. Because what I tell everybody, even all my clients and everybody else, I said, if I'm giving that advice to my own family, I'm going to give the same advice to you as my customer. Because you know why? What makes me, or what sets me apart from any average real estate broker, is that I'm going to talk to you like family. And I'm going to say, hey, everybody's situation is different. Okay? I'm going to listen to your story, and I'm going to tell you how I could help you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So because everybody's different, everybody comes from a different situation. But even if you don't know where to start,
Mm-hmm.
I have a one-on-one consultation, no matter if you don't know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to sit down with you, and I'm going to say complimentary, meaning free, guys, free 99.
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't matter if you don't know where to start. I think education is the most important thing for anyone but wanting to change their life or transition, or say, hey, Leticia, I don't know where to start, but I want to buy a house, even if it's a year from now, 10 years from now. And this is why people don't understand. If they're not entrepreneurs, they don't really understand, because they're working a regular 9-to-5. That is so important. And I'm honored when you refer me to your family members, friends, coworkers, because that means I did a good enough job for you, and I explained whatever it is that maybe you didn't understand or that you had no clue about. That if I do a good enough job and you feel comfortable with me, and you know that I'm talking to you from my heart, and that's what I feel that I have to just translate, and I have to like really be authentic and talk to you from my heart, because of the knowledge that I've gained from when I was, 19, 20, 23, or whatever it was. From my experience, I'm going to be able to help others.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where it's like, people come to me, they don't know nothing. And I'm like, great. I love it that way, because at least they're not tainted with the wrong answers.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because once they start listening to comadre and compadre that bought 20 years ago, when I'm going to tell all of these people coming now, guess what? 2026, buying a house is very different than when your family bought 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Even when my mom and me bought, when I was 23, and I'm 47 now, guys.
Yeah.
It's totally different. And why is that important? Is because you have to change with the times, right? We went through a recession. We went through changes. We went through and I tell my daughter's story. So my daughter decided to, Mom, I'm ready to rent. I said, okay, if you're ready to rent, you're ready to buy. So the seed that I planted with her was, your rent is going to be more money than it would be if we were to buy. And this is how much your actual mortgage payment is going to be. So I was able to save my daughter $200 per month by being a homeowner. Okay, so she ended up buying a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, fixer-upper. And I always talk about my granny special. Okay, so immediate equity, guys, when you buy a granny special. What is a granny special? Is a house that is in good bones, good condition, but it might not have an updated kitchen. It might have an old school pink bathroom or green bathroom or something, right? That later on, it's working. You could use a toilet. Everything's working, but maybe it's not up to your standard of, hey, I want a beautiful new kitchen or a beautiful new bathroom, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not a brand new house or something like that. So that's my granny special. So I say, hey, if you're interested in buying a granny special, it's the best. Why? Because later on, when you're ready to renovate the kitchen, so the two things that are the most popular to renovate to lift up your equity are bathrooms and kitchens. Okay. So if anybody's buying, they want to buy a granny special, I said that you're going to see your equity just soar if you did decide to do that. Now, if you want to buy something newer, I do both, right? Then it's going to cost you. Right? It's going to cost you up front instead of later. And you're seeing the equity later. So the story of my daughter is, before the age of 23, she's like, I want to rent. I'm like, no, you're going to buy. She agreed with me. I was like, okay, great. I'm like, please trust me because guess what? I help people do this all the time, right? So she trusted me and we went to go see this little condo in the area she wanted. And granny special, somebody passed away in the unit. Blah, blah, blah. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. That's where she's at right now. So she bought in 2021. What does that mean for everybody out there that probably doesn't know anything about mortgages? In 2021, the interest rates were at the all-time low. Okay, guys? And so when I say that, the records show, and you can look this up and you could fact check this, is that back then in 2020, 2021, when the interest rates were at the average low, 2%, 3%, we're talking about that percent that does no longer exist.
Yeah, no kidding.
That took 50 years to get to that point. So a lot of people think we're going to get back to 3%. I don't think so, guys.
Where are we at now?
6.5.
Okay.
6.5. And what I say to people, and obviously it's based off of your credit. It's based off of all of that, right? So there's a lot of factors that go into what your interest rate's going to be for your new mortgage because all of those other factors have to play into what you're going to be able to get for yourself, right? And I could explain all of that. I don't need to make it too complicated, but long story short, she bought in 2021 and she got a 3% interest rate.
Nice.
Loved it. And so right now her mortgage is super affordable. Way less than if she decided to sell the condo and rent. And if she decided to sell right now, she can sell her condo. So we bought it at $150,000. She owes right now $130 because remember she has a 3% interest rate. So because everything's not going to the interest, she's paying down more of the principal.
Right.
So right now from $150, her balance right now is $130. Okay. In 5 years, right?
Right.
It's going to be 6 years in September. If she wanted to sell it right now, we can sell her condo for $240,000. Oh, yeah. So long story short, that's the example that I give a lot of my clients, and they open up their eyes because they're like, if you keep the numbers simple, that's when people can relate and they can be like, man, I can do that.
Right.
And that's the thing, right? We have to give them that hope, that realistic story, and realistic because it's true.
Right.
And I can show them, and I always refer back to my Instagram page because I have a before and after on my Instagram.
Oh, do you?
Of her condo.
Okay.
And I show like when we first bought it to, redo the little condo. So we bought it in September. My daughter was able to move in November. And I remember all these dates because it was around my birthday.
Yeah.
And we bought September 16th. She was able to move in November because it was right before I went away for my birthday.
Yeah.
And so 2 months
That's
to
quick.
like renovate. Yeah. Not bad.
No.
And now she's a homeowner. She's not renting some random persons and paying
Right.
somebody else's mortgage.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful that she trusted me and she was like, all right, Mom, I trust you. Let's just do it. And guess what? If she wants to sell, great. she can have that for the next down payment of a new property. Or if she decides to have a family, whatever she decides, that money's there.
Yeah.
That's the equity that she has. And guess what? I don't claim that because she paid the mortgage.
Right, right.
And that's why I go back to my Latino families. It's like, guess what, guys? You could get a loan with DACA. You can get an ITIN loan. You can get so many loan opportunities that my Mexican friends, my, Mexican community, guess what, guys? You can.
Yeah.
I have gotten phone calls in regards to all this ICE stuff.
Yeah.
Saying, what happens now to my house if they deport me? And I've had to have a conversation with our regular real estate attorney. And I said, hey, we got to do a segment on this about talking about if they were deported, what's going to happen to their property. And it's also giving them that peace of mind that it's still your property. Guess what? We can transact even if you get deported to Mexico. Guess what? That property is still yours because that's your deeded property.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away.
Right, right.
So, like, we could rent it out for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many things. Like, people get scared, but that's where it's our responsibility to educate them and say, hey, what's our resources? Who is our Latino real estate attorneys that can speak to our community and tell them and reassure them that it's still okay to be a homeowner? If not, we wouldn't have those loans.
Right.
We wouldn't have the DACA
The
loans.
opportunity wouldn't be there.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's where they get scared. And that the fear is the killer of all dreams.
Yes.
Dream big. And when something happens and when they see somebody struggling and when they're like, oh, no. Let's eliminate all that fear. Let me give you the confidence. Let me give you the examples of other people doing it. Because then that's when they gain the confidence. And I've told my DACA home buyers, I was like, hey, come on. Like, I'm trying to get them to tell their story.
Yeah, yeah.
Because guess what? Some of these other DACA people that don't believe that you can get a loan or that you could have your own home, they don't see the examples.
Right. Or
And I
it's
need them.
misinformation.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of people taking advantage. And the sad part, right, is that we have people in the community taking advantage of the community for their own personal gain, and they're giving them the wrong information.
So this is why the big refi boom and everything, like the recession happened in '08 and all of that, because guess what? Like you said, our own people were giving misinformation and also putting them in a situation that was going to harm their family. And when I say harm, and I'm not saying like physical harm, but what I'm saying is they were putting them in a balloon loan. They were putting them in an interest-only loan where they're not paying any money towards their loan or, to purchase their home. It's just, interest only type of thing. They were putting them into ARM loans, which their interest rate was going to skyrocket after 3 years, 5 years, or whatever it is, right? Which is variable after a certain amount of time. And why do I know all of this? Because I was a loan processor. I saw it all.
Yeah.
I saw it. And that's the thing. That was the harmful part. That's where they did, and this is why us Latinos are very scared to trust. And this is why I have pride in what I do, because I'd rather you hear it from me and I'm honest with you and tell you, hey, you can't do this or you can't do that because of this, and give you real life examples, or unfortunately have real life examples of maybe something going wrong.
Yeah.
And then I can tell them, hey, this is why we're not going to be able to do this, or I'm just very blunt. And it's like, you know what? I'd rather you be honest with you than you later, I paint the beautiful picture. And I had experience like some people do that and then disappoint them at the end.
Right.
Because
like, how can you do that? Especially like a family, right? With kids, and this is their home. This is like you said, this is their dream. It could be their dream.
Or their whole life savings.
Savings, everything. And then to know that it's going to just go down the drain and you're going to lose it all for like, oh, that's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then a lot of people, they save like thousands of dollars. I had a woman, Latina, she bought her house cash.
Holy
of how
cow.
many years? Yeah. It was not like a $5,000 house, but
right.
a couple $100,000. Like, and that's her hard-earned money that she saved since she got to this country. And she had a son.
Wow.
You get me? Like,
yeah.
I'm like, this is I'm helping people, like you said, realize their dream and what is it so they could advance their family to whatever, level that they need or that they want. And a lot of my clients are hardworking blue collar families that they have regular jobs, that they're hustling, that they're, they're, like you said, saving la ficha, they're saving the quarters, they're saving the pennies. And I didn't even know, I went to the bank the other day, there's no more pennies.
No.
Yeah,
no
isn't
more
that crazy?
pennies. All gone.
I was like, I didn't even realize that. I was like, okay. So I found that out at the post office. I was like, oh, okay. I had pennies. I was like, oh, you're not accepting? It's rounding up? I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you learn things every day. But yeah, I think that's the most satisfying thing in my job right now is just helping people and educating people and just being real with people and being honest. And that's the thing that we're lacking in a lot of aspects in all areas of work or ethics and things like that people don't know how to be honest.
Right. They want to tell you what you want to hear.
And guess what? That's not life. And this is where I get my rough exterior and even being a mom and my daughters could tell you like I'm rough.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I had to be a mom and a dad.
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe one day my daughters will understand and hopefully sooner than later. But I had to be rough and that's where it's like I rather if you ever come to me for guidance in buying a house, I'm gonna tell you real hard facts even if you don't like it, and I'm gonna tell you and I think the certain people, and those are the people that I want to work with, appreciate that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Not everybody. And maybe we're not a good fit, right? And we have to be honest with each other. And I'd rather refer you to another, person or another lender or another real estate broker because we're all across. It's the same goal. I should have the same goal as you do.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? So if somebody comes and they have a specific goal, I have to help you realize that goal. Right. So that's the benefit. That's the goal. That's all of, full circle, because that at one point was my dream. And so now I have to help you realize your dream.
Yeah. Given all your experience and I guess the trajectory of your career and just your life in general, how do you know that you're on the right path?
Man, I ask God every single day, to be honest with you. That is the life question, right? I think your faith has to come into that. That's a big question that is going to rely on your faith. And that's going to be your individual faith, your individual journey, because I cannot know that for my daughters, right? As much as I want them to be successful, as much as I want them for them, you have to want that for yourself, right? And that is the ultimate question that you pray about. I pray about every single day. God, lead me into the right direction. Where am I supposed to be? Who am I supposed to help? Girl, even with my homeless outreach, I just went out last weekend for homeless outreach. I pray about where we're supposed to be for homeless outreach. What location are we going to help a family? Where, guide me, God. And I let sometimes God speak to me because you don't know, right? That's the $1 million question of, where are you supposed to be? And that's where you're like, okay, how do you know you're growing? How do you know this is the place for you? You just have to have faith. And that's where your faith comes in. And that's where, are you a God believer? Are you not? Things like that. And I've seen it all, girl, even on my mission trips and things like that, where people practice different things. But I know for me, I do believe in God. I believe in the faith. I've seen God work in me because I was even rougher before, girl. When we first met, I was a totally different person than the person that you see right now in front of you right now. And I can honestly say that I have grown. I've changed a lot. Yeah. And I've seen that. I can tell you my friends, like my close friends that have been friends with me for 20 years. Like I have one friend that's been with me since my daughter was like an infant in her carrier, right? And she could even tell you like, wow, Leticia has changed a lot. I am hyper, guys, but I was super on a different level than I am now. And, that's with the years of experience. That's with, struggling. That's where learning, not only learning, but also being a teacher for others. I think, when you're a teacher, you could also learn at the same time.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And obviously, learning to be a good daughter to my mom. I think also, faithfully, I've learned a lot and I've grown a lot in that relationship, in my daughter's relationship. And I'm still growing in that, girl, because we have our struggles. We have our things, right? My daughter's 28 and me and her, and I can say that with me and my mom too, just butting heads and just, maybe we're similar, in a lot of ways, but also just being accepting. And my mom is who she is.
Yeah.
I can't change her, right? My mom is, I think she's 73. She was born in 53. So, so my mom's in her 70s, and I can really say that I just have to accept her.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? And it's like, just like my daughters, hopefully they accept me for who I am, as strong of a character that I am for them sometimes, because they tell me, girl, they're not even shy. And learning and also being open to that transition, like we were talking about, of, okay, what transition or where am I at right now in life? Because we should be ever evolving, growing, learning. Where is that next chapter? Where am I going? Where are my goals? So for everybody listening, I would encourage people. Me and my friends do a vision board every year. And we kind of reflect on, okay, what happened with last year's vision board compared to this year's vision board, right? I think being visual, and I'm very, I'm very dramatic, I don't care, Latina power, being dramatic or whatnot, but also seeing it on paper and seeing it like, and we have like these cute little vision boards that we've been doing, and I've seen it. So I think this is like our 3rd or 4th year in a row that we're doing it. And so we see each year and we see how, okay, did we accomplish anything here? Okay, great. We can see the transition. Okay, then this year, this is kind of what your vision was. And it can be the same thing repeated, right? That maybe you didn't accomplish that one year, and then you're putting it onto the following year.
Yeah, like a rollover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So if you didn't accomplish it this year and it's still your vision, got to put it on there again.
Yeah.
And so you accomplish it, right? And so we've been doing that. And I think that you're just seeing yourself expand, evolve. And then I always think everyone should have dreams. Everyone. And I'm trying to teach that to my daughters. It's like, you should write it down. You should visualize it. You should have a vision board. You should. Do you do it? Some people do, some people don't. But I feel that you're more successful if you do it.
Right.
Because now you have something to work towards. And people don't understand the power of that. It's like there's a big power in that. And I'll leave you with this story. And this is where it's like faith comes into play. This is probably before we met. But when my daughter was born, and she was like 3 years old, I was still living in a little village. And I passed by this building. And if you know Resurrection Projects, it was a resurrection project. I know resurrection projects now. Yeah. But back then, no clue. Okay. So Humble Park Construction, it was a construction company, working on the corner of Drake and 25th. And right there, there's St. Agnes, the church. Okay. Visually, I bought my first car. My daughter was a baby. She was going to be 3. I think we moved into that apartment at 2. I had to, and this is where the power of dreaming big, calling it out and just saying, this is what I want, and actually working towards something. I looked at that building. They were converting a factory building into an apartment building. I stopped one of the construction workers and I said, hey, what are you guys doing? I was so curious. So my mom lived like not far from there. So this is still a little village, Drake, and like right there, right by Central Park and 26th Street. Okay. And then I was curious and I asked the guy and he was like, hey, yeah. And he told me about Resurrection Projects, that this is a new project. They're going to be building an apartment. And I was like, oh, I looked at the building and I said, that's going to be my apartment. And guess what? I think it was a year later. That was my apartment. Oh, nice. And I pointed to the exact apartment that I wanted. And it was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Cute apartment, because remember, they were converting it from a warehouse into an apartment building with parking.
Oh, nice.
Not heard of
No.
in Little Village. New. And I visualize, and these are things that I look back and I said, that's God.
Yeah.
And he's helped me out through so many things. And I said, dream big, guys, because you don't know what you can get. But what people sometimes fail to do is to execute. God could give it to you, but if you don't execute on whatever it is that they're putting in front of you, and you don't execute, so that guy gave me the information. If I didn't call, if I didn't apply, if I didn't do X, Y, and Z, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Right.
That was a blessing. Yeah. It would have slipped by your hands.
Right.
And I could have gotten the information and been like, oh, and put it on the side. Never called, never did anything. It's about execution, guys. And same thing with buying a house, guys. If you say, oh, I want to buy a house, I want to buy a house. 2 years pass by. I want to buy a house, I want to buy a house. 3 years pass by. I want to buy a house, I want to buy a house. You never execute. You never call me. You never find out. You never. Right. And guess what? You're going to be a renter for all your life. Yeah. And I've had that, guys, where people come to me. They've been renting for 10, 15 years in the same apartment. And I told them 10 years ago, let's go buy a house. And they didn't want to, right? Because maybe they were not ready, right? Okay, that's fine. But let me help you get ready.
Yeah.
And that's what, planting that seed and just letting other people know, hey, find out. If I can't help you, I'll lead you to the right person. Like you said, let's not gatekeep. If I can't help them, guys, I'll introduce you to somebody that maybe I know in my circle that can.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe I'm not your realtor. Maybe I'm not your person. That's why I say this market, this world is so big that there is somebody for somebody. Right? And maybe I might not be it, but maybe I know the person that might be.
Yeah.
Maybe the blessing that I can give you by introducing you to someone. And I think this business is big enough for everyone.
Yeah.
And everyone can make money. And if you don't think about the money will come naturally. And I pray for that too. I was like, God, please help me with my finances. Please help me do X, Y, and Z. Please, whatever it is, ask him first. He will provide, but you also have to be obedient. You have to do the steps, because if not, you're not going to be given those blessings. So there's like a lot that plays into it. It's just not one thing.
Right.
You have to go out there also and do it.
Right.
And this is something I'm going to try to teach my daughters. It's like, guess what? You could have a degree all you want, but if you don't go after the job,
right, you're not going to get it.
Correct.
It doesn't magically show up on your doorstep.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You could have your degree, like my daughter just graduated. Guess what? That magical job, that dream job that you want, is not, like you said, it's not going to show up on your doorstep. If you don't go out there, hustle, go on LinkedIn. There's so many opportunities now. Go on LinkedIn. Now, there's nothing in person anymore.
I know.
Everything starts online, guys. And that's where I have to realize that too. Guess what? I tell all my sellers right now, I'm getting blessed right now with listings. And people are like, oh, girl, you're crushing it. But you know why they know that? Because I'm putting myself out there. I'm doing videos.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Because guess what? Now I know. And people make fun of me and they're like, oh, hola mi gente, this is Leticia Andrade reporting to you live. And they repeat my whole line. And I'm like, wow, you're watching. And so I'm like,
right, there you go. You're like, I don't care, make fun all you want. You're watching it.
Yeah, and you memorize my line. Right. So I have to say that, because it's like, if I stop saying it, then people are going to stop remembering. And what I tell my daughters, and I tell all young people, all the youth, make sure that you learn Spanish. You want to go to Spain. You want to go to another country. You want to go. Right. Guess what? It's right there. Your grandparents, your parents that know Spanish. Like my generation started, they started losing it. But I made sure I was like, all right, like my daughter took French in high school. I'm like, why? Take Spanish when you already know it. But thankfully, I think both of them know Spanish well enough. But I want them, I think as an adult is when I really embraced being a Spanish speaker.
Well, I got lucky because it was my Spanish teacher in high school that was like, you better be studying Spanish, at least get it as a minor, if not do a double major. And so I was like, okay, maybe I should. It was amazing. But you do it, you lose it if you don't practice it. For sure.
And that's what I can say that I learned. Even right now, I do consultations in Spanish too. So a
Oh,
lot of
that's
people,
good.
yeah. I do buyer consultations in Spanish, and I'm actually converting all of my literature into Spanish as well. So that's one of my goals for this year, to have my whole buyer guide and my seller guide in Spanish.
That's awesome.
So that I can give it to my Latinos.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? And sometimes, like you said, some of the words that we speak in English does not translate well
Right.
into Spanish. So that's why we have to practice, because we want it to roll out of our tongue, and we want to say it correctly, so that they're not looking at us like we're crazy either, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, okay, if they're raised and they have, their Spanish background in, and they went to school out there, we want to make sure that we could adapt and we could speak the language properly, so they could understand us, and so that
And it's confidence, right? Especially in business, when it's like a professional situation. Well, if you're going to be speaking to me in this language, you better be good at it.
yeah. Oh man, confidence is key, guys.
Yeah.
And I think just in general, they have to be confident in you and what your skills are, so that they can trust me in purchasing their home, right? Or selling their home.
Right.
So I think that if you build that confidence, even in Spanish or whatever language, I think it's just going to be better for you in the long run.
Yeah.
Like, hands down, whatever it is that you do. And I got hired as a banker because I spoke both languages. And guess what? People were getting hired because they were Polish speakers. I was over there by Six Corners. What did they want? They wanted Spanish and they wanted Polish.
Yeah.
So one of the other bankers was a Polish speaker. And he got the job because he was Polish speaking.
Yeah.
And then they teach you everything else.
Right. Right.
I had to get licensed. They send you to school for 3 months. And we were downtown Chicago learning what we needed to learn and getting the licenses we needed to get. And that's the hard part. I felt like, man, if I would have went to Bank of America, Chase made me do all of this stuff. And I'm like, Bank of America, you didn't have to get licensed, because one of my friends started working at Bank of America. And I'm like, I should have went to go work for Bank of America. But you learn.
But in the end, you get a license.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah.
And it's different type of license. It's not a real estate license. It's I got licensed for my Series 6 and 63. Totally different animal.
Yeah.
And then for your license for like finances, it's your Series 7. And that's a whole other animal. That's so that you could sell investments and things like that.
Right, right.
And so didn't go that far, but we got, and I had to, even though I didn't love it.
But that's like a setup for success, because you can leave Chase and go and find another job and already be licensed.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
oh, they were doing you a favor there. For sure.
And they paid for it.
Oh,
You were
even
getting
better.
paid to go to school, but you had to pass your test.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, girl. So
I
last
know.
question I got for you.
Okay.
So where do you get your motivation?
Woo! Oh my God. You know me so well that my motivation is from the heart. Like, seriously. Like, I think this job and everything that I've done, I've had to be self-motivated. Where does that come from? Just the desire to be just to elevate yourself. I don't know. I don't know if it's like natural or like it's my Latina side for sure. Like my loudness, obviously my Puerto Rican side, I can tell you that, we're all loud and people are like, Letty, you're screaming. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? But it's because I'm so like just energetic. I feel like the energy. I feel like even when we met, like I am a hugger.
Yeah.
Like when you meet me, I want to hug you. And that is honestly genuine. Like there's a perfect example. I did the San Juan 5K run. There was a girl that knows me from social media that she came up to me. She's like, oh my God, I met you last year and I follow you. And I was like, oh my God, I was so honored. And I hugged her and she was just like, yeah, you're exactly the way that you are on, on your social media. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm trying to like expose the natural me, right?
Right.
I'm dramatic. I'm sentimental. I am loud. My motivation has always been my daughters, to be honest with you. My why has always been I want to do the best for them. And remember, obviously, I didn't expect to be a single mom. I didn't expect to be a young mom. When I did, I accepted it. Like I went through a lot with even accepting that, oh, right now I just finished my first year of college and I'm coming back home and I have to tell my mom I'm pregnant. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that totally changed my life. And I'm not saying, and this is where, I want to reassure my daughters are not a mistake. and I was a single mom for whatever purpose or whatever reason or whatever it is, right? I think that once I became a mom and I understood the responsibility, and I'm not saying I was a great mom all of these 28 years, guys. I've learned a lot, and this is why we did therapy. And I think the therapy for me and my daughters for those 3 years was so significant.
Yeah.
Because the therapy was for me too, guys. It was like I was only 19 and I would not, and this is why I instilled in my daughters, like, do not get pregnant. Like whatever you do, like, not that it's a mistake, but at the same time, it's like I didn't want them to have the hardship that I had. I don't want you to, I want you to have better. I want you to live a better life. So what I can say, the motivation, the drive, but I was like this in high school too, guys. And if you know me from high school, I've always been driven. I've always been loud, active. I was in all these clubs in Curie. I don't know. Like maybe, a little bit from my mom, a little bit from my father, a little bit from my brother. My brother was always creative. So I can say that I got that from everyone, but and then I made it my own. And then my love for theater, I don't know, it started in Gary's school because I was exposed. And yeah, I'm just going to keep it going. And that's the thing. When you meet me and you're like, oh my God, and you're like, I am going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm going to root for you. Yeah. And I hope, that it translates and you root for me too. I'm doing a new series with a new house that I'm doing and people are following. And I'm like, wow. When people tell me that they're watching that little series and that story, that motivates me to be like, oh, I gotta get on it. It kind of holds me accountable, right? Where it's like, ooh, people are waiting for the next episode. So I'm like, let me ponte las pilas, let's go, And I'm like, all right. So I'm naturally like that. I can say that it's a tribute. Even, girl, my grandfather. My grandfather was a hustler. My grandfather did it all. My mom and me were just talking about it. My grandfather, he freaking collected cans. And this is him coming from Puerto Rico to Chicago. Okay. He collected cans. He collected, like the scrap metal before it was popular. Like now you have scrap metalers everywhere, right? Yeah. But back in the day, this is, 28 years ago, when my daughter was not even born yet. He did all of that. Yeah. He wanted to be a barber. He did that. He did it all. Yeah. So I want to say, and even my father, like even him buying properties and being an immigrant here and coming from Mexico, I can take all of those little things from everyone and say, maybe it came from all of that and me seeing all of that. And hopefully that could resonate to whatever my goals and whatever my daughters see. I want to be that wonderful example for them to motivate them in whatever they want to do. Yeah, for sure. We could only do so much, right?
I know, but I think you're doing it, girl. I think you're doing it.
One thing, it's like if I die tomorrow, right? And this is something I think about, girl, because my brother died at 47 from diabetes. I got diagnosed with diabetes in 2017. Okay. Not born or not raised being diabetic. I think about it, and sometimes I think about I'm going to be going to a celebration of life for one of my friends. She died at 60. Oh, wow. My brother died at 47. I'm 47 now, so it's real. It's in our face. And then my mom looking at urns, it doesn't scare me anymore. I'm buying a house from somebody that passed away in the house. I'm not scared of that anymore. And maybe it's me evolving and growing and becoming older. And but I think about it because I'm like, hey, if I were to die, I've had like health scares. I've been in the hospital. I've been in the ICU. I had a mini stroke. All of this. There's so many things, right? And I can say that if I were to die tomorrow, like what would be my celebration of life? Because I had to think about it because of my brother. And I try to do a good job for him in his celebration of life. And I did call it a celebration of life back in 2020 when it was a pandemic. And if I were to die, what do I want people to say about me? And I think about this because sometimes I get scares and diabetes is no joke. I hate it.
Now I've been living with type 1 since I was 7 years old.
So you know exactly.
I know exactly
what
you're talking about.
Being an older adult and getting diagnosed later in life has been the most challenging for me. The most life-changing because I'm like, now I got to figure this out. I went through all of that. I was a single mom. I did all of that, right? And thinking, okay, the worst has gone, right? Because that already has passed. And now you're thinking, okay, and then when I got diagnosed, I'm like, this is crazy. My brother died of it.
Yeah.
So it's really in my face. Like, I don't want to die like my brother. And so that's scary for me. That's like, what if I did die? And I had a scare too. My little mini stroke. If they wouldn't have taken me to the hospital at the moment that they did, I could either have been paralyzed on one side or whatever. I had a little mini stroke and I was in ICU. And people looked at me. They were like, you just had a stroke? And I'm like, I guess I did, right? So I had a blood clot in my brain.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? And I'm like, and I get emotional about it because it's like, yeah, I could have died then. And my daughter made a joke out of it, but it's not a joke. She's like, oh, Mom, that's your 1 year anniversary of what could have been your death. And I'm like, wow.
It's wild to think about it that way. Yeah.
That's what she had mentioned. And I was like, wow. And you think about it, you're like, all right, I'm not scared to die, but if I were to die tomorrow, what am I doing today so that people could remember me in a positive light? What did I do for the community? How did I give back? And that's why my homeless outreach, everything that I do, the people that I help, the people that I open up my arms to, the people that are present in my life is intentional. It's not like I don't take it lightly anymore.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow. Going back, it's just you want to leave the legacy. You want to leave that to your children. You want to leave there's just so much that you just want to instill in them so that they know what you represented me.
There's an opportunity for everything, right? There's always an opportunity to get yourself out. There's an opportunity to learn. Even when it comes to diabetes, there's an opportunity to do better, right? It's always like be on top of your health. There's always things that you can change and move and, you know, and make work for you, because it's not a death sentence, right? And I'm a testament to that. But anyway, all that to say is that there's always opportunities to make your dreams come true, to make something happen. And Letty, I think that you are an example of that. You've been, just like I said, ever since I've known you, just a hustler, mom. You're making me emotional.
Aww.
But I mean, you're somebody to look up to. But anyway,
yeah, I love that. The tissue. But I also want to remind people, and you brought it up, like with the diabetes. The reason my brother is not here today is because he gave up. And like you said about sending the ships, the helicopter, and all of that, I asked my brother, do therapy. I sent him my therapist information. I sent him, there's something called the Family Institute. It's with Northwestern. It's therapists in training. I've given that number. I've given that paragraph to more than just one person. Why? Because if you can't afford it, Family Institute Therapists in Training program, you don't need money. And it is a program, right? It's always, you know, these are students that are learning to become therapists, but they also need to learn too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is a program, but that's going to also help you because they're getting mentored by a licensed therapist. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
What I want to say to everyone listening is that just don't give up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And opening up and sharing everything. I mean, this is such a great episode. And for everybody listening, I'll be putting your Sold by Leticia Instagram handle in our show notes and any other links that you want to provide. Even information about the therapy hotline as well, for those who need it or want to seek out mental health therapy. And we'll put that in there as well.
Yeah.
But
and homeless outreach. Don't forget about my homeless outreach.
And homeless outreach. We'll put more information about that out there too.
Third Saturday of every month, if anybody wants to join or donate. If our friends on the street can be out there in the elements, then we can as well.
Yes,
so,
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. And everyone else, we'll talk to you later. Woohoo. Bye. Hey, this is Kiki. If you made it this far, you officially made it to the end of the episode. Thanks for being here. If you're listening on a platform where you can rate and subscribe, please do. It really helps more people find the show. And hey, leave a comment. Tell me what you liked, what stuck with you, and what you want more of. You can also follow the podcast on Instagram at What It's Like to Be Here Pod. Catch you on the flip side.